R.E.P.O is a brand new game that has a very addictive and simple gameplay style. Spawn in, grab your cart, get loot, buy stuff with your money, and repeat. So, what if we took away our use of both the cart and the shop and just see how far we can go? This is what I will entitle as the R.E.P.O Ironman Challenge. Let's see if the name sticks. Oh yeah, and to add, I'll be performing this run solo, just to add to the difficulty. Before I get into the video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe. My goal is to hit 2K subscribers by the end of the year, and if you could help out, I would really appreciate that. Enjoy the video. The run that you're seeing right now is far from my first attempt at doing this. This is partially because I'm very bad at this game, but also from the sheer difficulty of the challenge itself. You see, in R.E.P.O, you can use the cart to carry loot. When loot is in the cart, it cannot take damage to its value. Without being able to use the cart, not only do we have to take our loot back one at a time, we also cannot put it down safely so we know it won't be damaged. This means that once we pick something up, we will want to avoid dropping it unless absolutely necessary. Time also feels like a very limiting factor in this run. While I'm not forced to meet the quotas in a certain time frame, meeting them faster means less encounters with monsters, and thus a higher chance of staying alive. In the gameplay, I will be attempting to do everything as fast as I can to avoid death as much as I can, which is definitely difficult without shop items or the cart. You can see that I just picked up a clown plushie in the game. One of the ways that I was planning on making a lot of money during this run would be from killing monsters, which you can do quite easily with an exploding clown plushie, though as you'll be able to see, this plan doesn't really work out the way that I was hoping it would. Yeah. Right behind that door was like 3 frogs and a duck. Not just that, but since the duck got hit, it got mad at me. So the start of this run was already definitely looking bleak. Even though one of the monsters did die and drop their soul, I had no choice other than to drop it or else I would have become duck food. So there I was, running to get under a table, until eventually the duck decided to just leave me alone and I could have a bit of peace on the 30 health. Even though trying to kill the frogs didn't go well last time, I figured I'd just be able to go back and get the clown plushie to try again for round 2. Unfortunately, the duck brings misfortune everywhere it goes and destroyed my plushie. Since I got so close to the frogs, they managed to hit both me and the duck in the process, making the duck mad at me again. I really thought it was over for me. I hid under the table and I awaited my fate. Until... Wait a minute. I survived! I still had a chance. Despite the setbacks I faced on day 1, getting put down to 2 health almost immediately, I was able to get this love potion, get this plate, and get out of there. But not before one more close call. After that incredibly difficult day 1, I found myself at the shop. And instead of buying stuff like I normally do, I just left. There's nothing for me in the shop anyway. On to day 2. Now that we're here on day 2, something should be mentioned. Last time, I only had to fill up 1 platform to meet the quota. But as you progress in R.E.P.O, you have more of these quotas to meet in each location. Here, we find ourselves deep in a scientific facility having to meet 2 quotas. Now thankfully, I was able to find a lot of loot right by the spawn room, meeting the first quota without a single monster encounter, and an extra 1,500 credits for me to bring to the next platform on the opposite side of the map. Man, if I knew it was going to be this easy, I wouldn't have been stressing so much about having to meet 2 quotas. Unfortunately, right as I began to walk out, I saw this monster. Now, see, in many other games like this, you're left defenseless against the monsters. But one of the best parts of R.E.P.O is that I'm able to smash this guy to a pulp using the money bag I just earned. Smash like. And as a reward for killing a seemingly helpless and defenseless monster, I get a little egg that's worth some cash. How kind is Shadow Baby to treat us like that? Thanks, Shadow Baby. The real tragedy of this run is what happened after I realized I had to activate the pad to meet quota. I'm sorry, Shadow Baby. Your death was for nothing. Without being allowed to buy stuff in the shop, that means I can't buy upgrades for my character. This means that lifting many objects in the game is just straight up impossible for me. While I would be able to bypass some of this issue if I had access to my cart to carry items, unfortunately, I don't. This just means that many of the items in this run will have to go uncollected or broken. Anyway, after a lot of going back and forth, picking up items I had the strength to carry one by one, I finally met the profit quota for the second platform. This means all I had left to do was get back on my ship, and I'd be able to start day 3. Now, thankfully, this was just a straight shot back with no monster encounters. A very, very easy day 2, if you ask me. Now, while day 2 was easy, the same can absolutely not be said about day 3. This day really put my skills to the test. Now, as you can see, I have to meet this absurd quota, not just once, but twice. When you take items back one by one, it really takes a lot of time and a lot of trips to make that quantity of money. Very early on here, I have a run-in with the clown, and while it doesn't notice me here, it is unfortunate that it's already roaming so close to where I have to take my loot back to. This means that I have to be extra cautious the entire time. Although this day wasn't all bad, I was able to grab this vase and get it all the way back to my platform with no issues at... Oh. Okay, well, there will be more loot. But of course, as I was leaving, the bow tie just had to notice me. Here I was, in a very precarious situation, trapped in a corner with a bow tie. At least it would most likely not be able to kill me, until the clown came along and tried to tag team me until I became monster food. Thankfully, they eventually left me alone and I could be on my way. When I saw the clown on the stairs here, I thought, hey, this could be a good opportunity to make some money since I need so much. I took my little plushie and started to go ham on this guy. While he never did damage me once, problems arose. I was close to running out of durability on the plush, so I had to give up and run away. However, this must have been a blessing in disguise, because right after I ran away, I found this cube that I was actually able to roll back to the platform and make a ton of money. Anyway, I explored a little bit more and found the mother of all loot. This massive box was worth so much money. I'd be able to get it back to my platform without damaging it much, so long as I don't run into any monsters. Unfortunately, I ran into monsters. I had to hide under a bed to make sure it wouldn't get me, but while I was under the bed, they wound up almost destroying the box until it was worth a fraction of what it once was worth. Thankfully, I was at least able to take my revenge on the bow tie and take its soul. That soul was just enough to push me over to the second quota of the location, and now it was time to really get serious so I could make it all the way to day 4. The first thing I did was take this money bag and beat the crap out of this parasite dude. And thankfully, I learned my lesson from last time and placed the soul down gently so it didn't break. The rest of the second quota actually went pretty well. It was just a back and forth to the pad, grabbing all of the loot I saw, until the end where things got a little bit stressful. I had one final run-in with the clown, and this time, I felt ready to kill it once and for all. But once I dodged this laser attack and saw that there was another bow tie alive, I figured that it would just be easier to run and find one last piece of scrap to meet the quota and move on. You win this time, clown, but at least I met the quota. On the way back to the truck, I did have one final encounter with literally every enemy on the map, but I just hid under a table and it was all fine. Now, let's get on to day 4. Day 4, I found myself in Headman Manor, and this time, I didn't have one quota to meet, I didn't have 2 quotas to meet, but I had 3. If I was going to make it through this day, it would be difficult. Now this first quota was ultimately a breeze. I didn't run into any monsters other than an eye, I hauled back a massive painting that was worth half the quota, and I was basically right on my way to quota 2. Now, this quota would go a lot less smooth than the first, just to say the least. After I located the room that held the second cell pad, I became overcome with a feeling that something bad would happen on these creaky floorboards that made up this bridge. I did my best to shake this feeling as I began to load up on loot. I found a lot of loot quickly, and I made sure to avoid crossing those wooden planks when I could by just tossing the loot over the pit, which actually worked very well. Not long after, I had my first run-in with the enemy that actually posed a real threat here. Though it didn't notice me yet, I was a bit worried as I tried not to draw too much attention to myself as I killed these little skulls. Well, that was easy. As I began to drag across this valuable television, I began to think that I might actually be able to make it past this quota. You know who doesn't want me passing this quota? Mr. Headman of Headman Manor himself. So I devised a plan. I would lure Mr. Headman onto these wooden planks and then attempt to knock him off into the pit so I wouldn't have to worry about him at all. To my pea-brain at the time, this was an absolutely flawless method to ensure my victory. But in practice, well, I'll just let you watch how this goes. And just like that, I had lost the Ironman challenge on day 4. This was a baseline test to see how I could do and get attention to this challenge, as I am technically the first person to ever do this. If you enjoyed the video, smash subscribe, and as I said before, I'm really trying to get to 2,000 subs by the end of the year. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. See ya!